Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beneath the Silence, Healing the Wounds of Betrayal Trauma. Thank you for those who have been here before and have watched, and a warm welcome to those who are here for the first time. Today, we're going to talk about the impact of religious betrayal trauma and have an interview with an expert. And you will see that Liz is here with me, and I'll introduce her in just a moment. Just to check in with everyone, last episode was on religious betrayal trauma, and I understand that it can be very, very heavy. And some of you may have realized for the very first time that you have experienced religious betrayal. And hence the reason for having an interview with an expert. I'll also remind everyone that these podcasts are not edited. They're real, they're raw, and they're vulnerable. And with that, I will introduce Liz. So Liz is a psychotherapist working in Southwestern Ontario. She has extensive studies of the subjects of grief, trauma, and betrayal, and how these three intersect. Liz walks with clients who are wishing to continue their lives without the effects brought on by this grief, trauma, and betrayal. One aspect of trauma in which Liz has been working, and I would say an expert, is that of religious betrayal trauma, the significant effects that particular area of trauma can have, and how to assist in the healing that survivors have to work through. And that's what we do. We don't get over something, we don't go around it, and we don't let it go. We have to work through it. We have to move through it. Liz is a religious betrayal trauma survivor herself, and so has personal understanding and experience of the devastation of living through the many aspects of this area of trauma. Because of her experience, both personally and professionally, she has had the opportunities of speaking in numerous venues, sharing what she has learned. So Liz has her master's degree in counseling psychology. She is a certified clinical traumatologist, and she is a religious betrayal trauma expert. And I'm going to add, I am honored to say she is not only my esteemed colleague, but a wonderful friend. So welcome, Liz, to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
And I'm honored to be your friend.
Thank you. It's like minds tend to,
Mhm.
come together for
Yes.
sure. So I do have a series of questions, of course, to ask, but I was wondering if you would share as little or as much of your experience, your personal experience for our audience, that they too know that they can move through and heal from this horrendous form of betrayal trauma.
Thanks. It really is a horrendous thing because it touches deeply onto who exactly we are so innately. I firmly believe that we are all spiritual people of some sort somehow, and we all want to do and be better people. And in that respect, many years ago, my husband and I joined what we thought was a church that had opportunities to become more spiritual, to become more involved in what we would call ministry, which eventually, after a number of years, turned out to be what we would call a cult. And we had to escape. So my family and I, we managed to escape, thinking, oh, we're out of there, everything's going to be fine. And then realizing exactly how much damage had been inflicted and how were we going to fix all of this. One of the things that I have realized with all of this is recovering from something like this is kind of like having a broken bone. It heals, it knits, it still hurts when it rains type of thing. And so there's still things that I'm working through.
Mhm.
I did a lot of counseling and a lot of reading and a lot of crying and a lot of determining who exactly I wanted to be after managing to get out of that situation. So it's been a long haul. It's a continual thing.
Mhm.
And I have been very privileged in some of the other things that I've been able to do with the things that I have learned over the years. So,
I liken the wounds of the trauma, and
mhm,
that's why the words of Dr. Gabor Mate say that the wounds are the emotional
mhm.
trauma.
Yes,
And that's where trauma lies, is in
yes.
the emotion. And I liken it as those wounds as being infected.
Hmm.
And when we treat, so it can't heal. It can't heal until we treat it
Hmm.
with the right antibiotic,
Hmm.
whatever that antibiotic is, the modality, right? And it's different for every person.
Yes, it
But
is.
then what's left is a scar. And
Hmm.
why is there a scar? It's because it happened.
Yes.
We can't make it just smooth,
Hmm.
that weeping wound in the healing. It's as if it never happened because it did. So there
Yeah.
is a scar. So what you're talking about when you say there's things that come up, that's something that bumps against that scar
Yes, exactly.
to let us know that, there's little pieces that may throughout our lifetime
Hmm.
be still, be still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So it's been a long road.
Mhm.
I'm very thankful for the people that have come along to help me on that road
Mhm.
over the years. And whether it's been people by my side or whether it's been books that I've read or websites that I've looked at, in my research, etc.
Mhm.
So,
So thank you. Thank you for your vulnerability and for sharing with us. It, it's it's really important that we do get beneath that silence and
definitely. Yes.
and share our voice as much as
Mhm.
we can. And what we've learned,
Yes.
the expertise of that.
Yeah.
So if it's okay, can we start some of the questions?
Sure. Yeah.
Um, so one of the questions I have is, how is religious betrayal trauma different from other forms of spiritual or religious distress?
We often look at religious institutions as something that as a space is going to support us, is going to help us, is going to sustain us and agree with the beliefs that we have, because many of those beliefs are extremely deep-seated. And religious distress comes along, there might be some inconsistency in what's being said and what's being um, read or looked at. Religious betrayal comes along when there is hypocrisy and inconsistency, when there's denial of behaviors or beliefs that this doesn't match with this.
Right.
Particularly things like control and manipulation. If you don't do this, then you are going to da 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 da. If you do this, you might lose your place in heaven. This kind of manipulation, the using of the set of beliefs
Hmm.
to control and manipulate
Hmm.
behavior, belief, um,
Hmm.
things like that.
So you said something very important that if it's just to touch on, you said about if they don't follow along, if people don't follow along with the manipulation and the teachings,
Mhm.
that you may lose your place in heaven.
Yes.
And and sometimes that's you're going to hell,
Mhm.
or you're just going to be nothing. It's going into nothingness, and you don't. Do you find that is one of the fears that your clients may have or you may have had?
Yes, yes. I have had people say to me that I was told if I didn't do this or this, that I was going to lose my salvation and I can never get it back again. Um, whether, whatever or that who they are means that they're not good enough for the organization, for the God, whoever,
Yeah.
and that just you don't fit in.
And you also mentioned the hypocrisy,
Mhm.
and I'm wondering, well, if you feel as well that that's part of the hypocrisy, is part of the gaslighting and the
Yes.
manipulation, uh, to the survivor. And it causes confusion because, the person who is the abuser or the perpetrator of the trauma, say, or perpetrators, are showing a public face
Mhm,
figure as this one way, as good.
mhm.
And yet on this other side, when they're practicing this abuse or whatever it is, that the threats, the manipulation, you know, it doesn't match their public persona.
Yes, yes. That hypocrisy is really strong, especially when it is spoken of, preached about. If you behave like this, then you are going to hell. Um, and then, yet in the background, someone might know that the person is behaving in a way that is what they're railing against officially.
Right.
We can
So,
think of lots of examples, and
yeah,
all over the world, particularly in North America.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And unfortunately,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
unfortunately, that it's any betrayal
Yes.
is happening,
Yeah.
and I would argue, um, argue with you that you absolutely in North America, and that's where much of the research has been done.
Mhm. Yes.
Although there has been more research coming out of the UK as well. So, and
There's,
it looks like that this manipulation or this hypocrisy, the gaslighting, is a tool used to control.
yes, it is. Very much so.
And the people doing the controlling are masters in this manipulation
Very much so.
and
Yes.
are willing to lie to maintain their public image.
Yes. Yes. And we often find that there is a statement of, if you don't do this, you are going to damage God's reputation. So that again is a source of control and manipulation, that you're responsible. You have this huge amount of responsibility
Mhm.
on your shoulders,
Mhm.
whereas I, as the leader, can do whatever I want.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. And so that confusion just builds and builds.
sure.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So I think we actually, in talking about this, talked about the next question I was going to ask, which was the most common causes or patterns that lead to religious betrayal trauma. Is there anything you would like to add regarding that, or do you think,
We talked about abuses of power and we talked about the hypocrisy. There's a couple of others in the aspect of the failure to protect.
yeah,
So the idea there is that some leader may have committed something that was inappropriate, that was horrible, and denies it. Within the organization, there's lack of protection because the organization is supporting the perpetrator, the quotes on leader. They often will ignore or cover up the situations that have happened, which then becomes institutionalized religious betrayal trauma, right?
mhm,
And then there's the aspect of isolation and control. Oftentimes, these organizations are very isolationist in the idea that, well, we're the only ones that have the right answers, so don't go anywhere else for help.
right,
Or because we have everything that you need within this organization, you don't need to go and talk to someone.
okay,
We're going to control you within this organization.
okay. So what signs or symptoms have you seen, should our listeners be looking for, either in themselves or maybe in loved ones,
Mhm.
friends,
Yeah.
etc.
One of the things that we often see is an abject fear of entering into something that has a religious connotation to it.
Okay.
So whether it's going into, you're on a tour and you have the opportunity to see a beautiful cathedral, I'm not going into that cathedral. I cannot go into a religious space. Or religious talk, religious spiritualizations. music and a scorn or a hatred of those kinds of things or fear of those kinds of things.
Okay.
We often see the avoidance of conversation about what has happened to them or what their beliefs are now, blaming the God, the Yahweh, the Allah, the Buddha, before they come to an understanding that it was the people within the organization. It had nothing to do with the God, the Buddha, the Allah. Um, the other idea is that there is often a change of morals or beliefs to the exact opposite, and it's often quite sudden. If this is what they believe, then I'm going to believe this.
Mhm.
And it's usually quite a sudden change in those morals and beliefs,
Mhm.
to prove that I'm not involved in that organization any longer. So those types of things are what we often look for. The
Okay.
other aspect that we're looking for is confusion. This doesn't make sense. This is weird. This is, and that confusion is really hard to get through.
Mhm. And do you find as well, because it's very, I mean, it's across the board in
Mhm.
betrayal trauma
Yeah.
itself, that, clients that you may have seen, or spoke with, that they're blaming themselves. Something must be wrong with them.
Definitely, definitely, because nobody joins an organization that is going to betray them.
Right,
The statement we often use is no one joins a cult.
right.
People join organizations to become better, to develop deeper relationships, to become a better person than they are now. So when they find out they that this isn't going to work for them,
Mhm.
well, it's my fault. I shouldn't have done this. I should have known better.
Mhm.
Um, how on earth could I have done what I have done to myself, to my family? This is all my fault. So there is a fair bit of guilt and shame with that can come out of a lot of this. Yeah. Even in those who are what we would call second generation, those who were born to people who joined or various generational aspects of it. I should have figured this out sooner. I should have escaped sooner. I should have gotten my parents to be out of there sooner. Those kinds of, I should have figured this out myself. So that happens whether it's someone who has actually done the joining or whether there's family generational stuff going on.
Okay. And so it's a ripple effect,
Very much so.
very much so. Yeah. Okay. So talking about those signs and symptoms, what evidence-based treatments or therapeutic approaches have you found to be most effective?
Think the most effective, whatever modality any therapist would like to use, is to ensure that they are trauma informed, that they understand the effects of trauma on the body and on the brain,
Hmm.
and understand the effects of betrayal trauma to start with.
Hmm.
Betrayal trauma is an umbrella, has all kinds of things
Yeah,
underneath it.
underneath it.
And that without an understanding, whatever modality is used, without an understanding of the effects of trauma, so
Hmm.
becoming trauma informed,
Hmm.
even in the idea of length of time and amount of situations being shared during a session, et cetera, et cetera. I use a lot of talk therapy. I firmly believe that shame can't live in light, and neither can guilt. And if we can talk out and get into actual words and sentences what my clients are feeling, are thinking, then there's a greater understanding of where they feel confused, what struggles they're having. So I firmly believe in talk therapy. I do some eye movement desensitization and reprogramming, so EMDR.
Hmm.
Um, the talk therapy for those who are coming out of religious betrayal trauma seems to be most effective because we can take a belief and say, what do you think about that now?
Hmm.
There cannot be scorn. There cannot be any sort of judgment.
Hmm.
There cannot be any sort of, well, that's wrong. because all that does is make the person need to defend what happened
Right,
previously
right,
and makes them feel it completely invalidated.
right, right. So
So,
when you talk about, sorry, but
yeah, it's okay.
talk about being trauma informed, I'm going to push that a little bit further
Hmm.
because there are many, hundreds, millions, thousands, whatever, of trauma informed therapists,
Mhm.
counselors, social workers, whatever the case, psychologists even out there. And yet, because betrayal trauma is so different, that I find the typical being trauma informed, there's so much that's left
Yes.
that isn't worked through or
Mhm.
healed. And it really is that level of shame, the internalization that happens in betrayal trauma that doesn't happen in, a severe car accident or a house fire or, you know, the internalization that is so real
Mhm.
and deep,
Yes.
the blindness
Hmm.
that often is there, the betrayal trauma blindness that again across the board, whatever the under the umbrella betrayal trauma, it's that it takes people, professionals, to actually understand and learn betrayal
Yes.
trauma
Yes.
in order to help someone. So I would argue that anyone listening, seeking out therapists, ask the therapist. If you're
Hmm.
already connected and have this relationship with a therapist who is a trauma therapist, ask them to learn about betrayal trauma with you.
Hmm.
You know, if that's what happened with me when I went through mine and my therapist did that, and it was wonderful
Hmm.
because there weren't any therapists and there were still very, very limited,
Yes.
not only in Canada, but I would argue across North America.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So,
I might also say the aspect of believe what they say.
so
Whatever the therapist thinks about what's going on is believe what the
the
person is
client,
saying. Yes,
yes,
believe
yes,
them.
yes, yes. It is critical. And I say this at the end of all my podcasts. I see you. I believe you.
Yes.
I see you. I hear you. I believe you. Those are the three things. So any therapists watching this, please, 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 please take those three things and utilize them with every client because everyone needs to feel heard, that they're not invisible.
Mhm.
Because in betrayal trauma, again, we're talking about religious betrayal trauma here, again, across the board in betrayal trauma, the feeling of being invisible and oh, so alone.
Yes.
I'm the only one feeling like this.
Mhm.
Nobody else has felt this way.
Mhm.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
That they are seen, they are heard, and they are believed. So important. That's validation that is necessary.
Mhm.
Necessary.
Yes.
So, my next question then, I know many clients ask, well, how long is this going to take? You know, and what factors influence how long is it going to take to do my healing journey?
One of the biggest factors is being believed, being validated, being seen,
Mhm.
recognizing that this person says, "Oh yeah, okay, this happened to you, and this was hurtful for you, and how can we work together
Mhm.
to go along?" As with anybody, recovery time is going to be hugely varied because each person has experienced things in a different way than the person beside them.
Right. Yes.
So, and each person has their own background
Hmm.
and how long they were within the organization, how deeply they were within the organization, where they came from to start with, and why they joined. So many different influences. Um, the other aspect is how deeply the beliefs continue to be held.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes there is instilled a fear that if you stop believing this, you will go to hell type of thing. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So again, we don't want to in any way invalidate what the person believes.
Yeah.
And gently and gradually, this is slow, long work.
And it really depends on the readiness as well
Sure does.
of the client, right?
Yeah.
They may believe that they're ready, and when they start doing the work, it's like ah, and brakes are put on.
Yeah.
And I liken it to that they're the driver.
Yes.
I'm the, when I'm working, I'm the GPS. So
Mhm.
I may have a plan, of modalities, activities, different things that we can do, talk therapy, whatever is needed, for getting them to the place they would like to be, but they're the driver.
Yes.
And they get to accelerate if they need to accelerate, or they give it to put on the brakes. Or,
Mhm.
we idle in neutral.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
whatever needs to be, but they are behind the wheel. They are the ones, the client is the one in control.
Yes. And
And
has to
they
be.
and they have to
Yes.
be in
Yes.
control.
Because an aspect of religious betrayal trauma is the idea that control was taken away from them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there needs to be an aspect of the client themselves
Yeah.
being in control of even the number of sessions that they have with a therapist.
Hmm.
Um, if a therapist is saying you have to come once a week and the client doesn't feel that they are able to handle once a week, it's okay to say, no, I think I'm going to do it a little bit less often.
Hmm.
Those kinds of situations where the client is in charge.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do that with my clients, and they say, well, how often do I need to come? And I say, how often would you like to?
Mhm.
It's you're in full control. I do say, if you do once a month, we're really doing catch up and
Mhm.
maintenance rather than doing the work, because
Mhm.
it would be unethical, um, to work through something that's impacted them in that, because that's what we're working with, is how has it impacted them in this day, in the here and now, and where they may be feeling raw, and
Yes.
then not to see them for 4 weeks might be,
Yes.
might be really difficult.
Mhm.
Um, However, it doesn't have to be weekly. I don't
Okay.
know someone's
Mhm.
financial situation. I don't know what their schedules are like. And so clients, you determine what that looks like.
Mhm.
So what role can faith communities maybe play? We know how they have have played a role in harming. How might they have a role in healing?
This is a really interesting question because many faith communities continue the abuse, continue the betrayal, um, which is really unfortunate. Oh, come here, we're going to help you, and they just simply continue. So again, how can faith communities help to heal? They can help to heal by believing. If
Right.
someone comes in and says, that organization hurt me,
Hmm.
okay, we're sorry that happened. We
Hmm.
believe you. We're going to validate you. What can we do to help you here?
Hmm.
Is a really good question.
Hmm.
Again, for the leadership all the way down is again that understanding of being trauma informed, how people react and behave,
Hmm.
etc.
Hmm.
That idea of how to be trauma informed. Um, One of the largest difficulties within religious betrayal trauma is the lack of accountability, whether it is in the leadership's behavior, in the leadership's use of the finances, in the leadership's use of time, all of those kinds of things. And a healing organization will have obvious and often spoken about areas of accountability,
Okay.
that the finances are an open book for everyone.
Hmm.
If someone asks, they can see them, and
Mhm.
there will not be anything redacted. There will not be anything hidden. So
Mhm.
finances, behavior. Um, if you see the leader in a store as you're doing your grocery shopping, they will be the same type of person that they're going to be when you see them at the meetings.
Mhm.
That kind of accountability. Um, Making those religious spaces safe again. So if someone goes into a religious space and says, I can't be here today, I'm so sorry about that.
Mhm.
What can we do that's different?
Mhm.
Can we help you here? If we can't, we'll be glad to see you another time.
Mhm. I even had, and was a United Church, I would call it religious betrayal trauma, from a United minister who I felt was not an actual pastor, even though he was technically, but he didn't act like, and the next one, due to friends say, well, come to this church, and went to that church, and went, and that pastor, this was over baptizing my children, at the time. And that pastor said, I will come to your house tonight if you would like your children baptized right now.
Mhm.
I will come and do it at your home. And it was like, what?
So he
Because,
understood where you were coming from.
yeah,
He understood your
yeah,
fears, and he was able and willing to work around what you needed
yes,
to accomplish what you were attempting to accomplish.
yes. It made, because I didn't know, services were very similar, but that interaction with that pastor versus the previous pastor was so incredibly different and genuine that it was like, oh, oh, okay.
Mhm.
He will calm my fears
Yes.
by coming to my home.
Mhm.
It was life changing. It really was life changing.
I'm glad that there was someone there who was able to do that for you.
Hmm. Me too. Me too,
Mhm.
because it really changed my mindset,
Mhm.
about organized religion.
Yes.
you know. So to end today, what resources, if any, books, websites, organizations would you recommend?
Um, Finding if you want a safe place to attend to worship with people of the same belief system,
Mhm.
determine for you what's safe. And that's not really anything that you can read or research. You have to figure out yourself what is good for you. For you in that circumstance with the United Church minister, you needed someone who was willing to put themselves inconvenience themselves to show you that they were safe.
Yes.
Determine for you what's going to be safe. For many people coming out of these circumstances, nowhere is safe, which is really unfortunate for someone who is of a person of faith, a person of belief. I managed to read some books that were very helpful.
Mhm.
One is called A Church Called Tov by McKnight.
Okay.
Um, these are
And-
within the Christianity sphere.
okay. So what I will do
Yep,
is I will put, these in the description of this podcast. So I will put the title of the book and the author. Um,
sure. Yep.
yeah. Okay.
There's another one by a woman named Kristen Kobes Dumez. It's called Jesus and John Wayne. It's really quite fascinating about the development of Americanized Christianity,
Okay.
which helped me understand more of what I had been through. The Making of Biblical Womanhood by Beth Allison Barr was also very interesting. She is a history professor of medieval history and discusses the whole aspect of women in the church and where a lot of the beliefs come from. So those are three.
Mhm.
YanyaLalich.com is also a very good place to go for religious and cultic trauma
Okay. Okay.
things to discuss.
All
Yes.
right. All right. Thank you. I will, so everyone, they will be in the description of the website if you wish to check them out. And then Liz, how can people, contact you if they have any questions for you, or may even want to see you as their therapist to work through their own religious betrayal trauma? How might
Sure. I,
people be
I
able to
would
contact?
love to chat with anyone who would love to like to chat. The best way to contact me is through my email address, which is thresholdscounselling@gmail.com. I am available for therapy. I'm also available for faith-based organizations if they would like to chat and have me come and speak as to what can involve becoming trauma informed, the various aspects of religious betrayal trauma, and perhaps how they can make their own organizations more safe for those around them.
Wonderful. Okay, and all that information again will be in the description, so can be reached. Liz, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your expertise, your vulnerability, and your knowledge. Like you have so much knowledge, and thank you for sharing it.
This has been
With
fun. Thank you so much.
So that's all for today. I want to thank everyone for joining Beneath the Silence, Healing the Wounds of Betrayal Trauma, and the interview, the impact of religious betrayal trauma, and the interview with an expert. And please, if you can, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share, like, that all helps the algorithm so we can reach more and more people. There is no funds gained from doing this. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. It is just so we can reach other people so they too may not feel so alone. And as always, as we end, please be gentle with yourself. I see you, I hear you, and I believe you. Until we meet again.